I'm live. I'm live on YouTube. Jack Powers live. Jack Powers live on YouTube. What I should do is probably go ahead and get this guitar out. But I don't know if it's in tune. I could give it a try. Let me see what this is saying. Top chat, live chat, super chat. What's this over here saying? Share, mute microphone. Yeah, not much there. Now, I kind of lied to you guys because I thought that I was going to practice this week, and I didn't get any time to do so. I don't think that's good for the guitar to knock it against stuff. Maybe it is. Just a little bit out of tune here. Just waiting. Oh, I am up there. All right. Hello. Everybody doing okay? Did you guys check out that sheriff that went to federal prison? I think he was from, where was he from? Clayton County in Georgia. They just sentenced him to like 18 months in prison for the way that he was treating the prisoners, I guess, at the jail. He was the sheriff of this county down there in Clayton County. Yeah, that's what it was. And then they went ahead and put him in jail. And his lawyer was out there, this guy with kind of looking like, I don't know, some crazy movie star or something with these dark glasses out there talking about, I think this is a shame. It's disgusting that they put this guy in prison, and you should see the federal penitentiaries. Have any of you guys taken a look at the federal penitentiaries these days? They're living with rats and nastiness, and he went through all kinds of stuff. But I see where they're here and there. I think there are selective prosecutions, but here and there it looks like they're starting to, at least the feds here and there are starting to enforce the civil rights laws anyway. That's what he was convicted under. You get convicted of violating somebody's civil rights, and it's a crime. It's a crime for someone acting under the color of law to violate somebody's rights. I don't know what all it was. I don't know what all they did. Georgia's not typically a very nice place to end up going to prison in, but so what else is new? I don't know. Just same old stuff, pretty much in the news. Trump thought he was going to be indicted or arrested today. Don't think it happened. I'm not sure because I haven't caught up with the news. If anybody knows, let me know if Trump actually got arrested. Yeah, I want to tell you guys about a couple things that I'm working on over here, other than a couple of new manuscripts that I've written. One about the history of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. There's another one about the Murdaugh case. There's another one about the Kohberger case. These are narrative stories about, well, the one about Murdaugh just examines what the common characteristics of psychopaths are. And I don't like to call people names or put labels on people necessarily, but there's a certain category of personality, I guess you'd say, that equals what they call psychopathy or psychopathology. And it's, it's just somebody that's really just without any kind of concern or empathy or compassion for anyone else. They just tend to be very, very selfish people. And they also tend sometimes to be quite dangerous if they also have some type of a little bit of a psychosis or a psychosis. They could be a little bit dangerous, I think. A lot of these folks end up killing other people and doing crimes like what happened in those cases. Ted Bundy, I think, was a psychopath. I think certainly Alex Murdaugh seems like a psychopath to me. I don't know what the exact definition is. I mean, I know what my definition is. And I've seen some of these guys in prison. I ran into this guy named Jesse Turner one time. Hey, you're Plug. What's up, man? Good to hear from you. Glad to have you on board. Yeah, this guy named Jesse Turner, and apparently he had, I don't know, he was trying to rob this cocaine dealer in New York City, and this guy, he lived in an apartment, a nice apartment, and he had this girlfriend, and she was a daughter of this big building contractor down there. And this guy, Jesse Turner, he went up there and he somehow convinced him to let him into the apartment. And then, and he's telling me this. He's telling me this. We're in the shoe. He's next door to me, and he's telling me this. And he said that he had chased that dude all over this apartment, this big apartment, like a loft, with this handgun. And the guy was jumping up on the couches and, running from one place to another, trying to keep from getting shot. And this Jesse Turner dude was just following him along, just chasing him and shooting him. And it must not have been a big caliber handgun, because I think it took quite a few rounds to take the guy down. But the girl was there the whole time. She was in the back bedroom or something when all this was going down, and I guess she was just paralyzed with fright. But he went in afterwards looking for the cocaine and saw her and kill her too. Well, that's not, that kind of stuff happens, unfortunately, happens a lot, or more than it should. More, anything's probably more than what it should. But he went ahead and he tried to extort that girl's father. He was still trying to, that's what he was doing in the hole. They put him in the hole because he had contacted that girl's father after he'd been convicted, and he started trying to extort the dude, trying to shake him down for money, tried to get him to send him money, and was, I guess, telling him that, he had some kind of goods on the daughter that he was going to make public or whatever, and it was going to affect him and his business. And he was doing natural life, a couple natural life sentences, and never getting out. But the notion of a psychopath, it clearly struck me then that there were actually people who are like that, who are just they're beyond what you would typically call pieces of shit, I think. They're far beyond that. But yeah, I was going to practice some songs and I didn't, but so I'm trying to think up this title for a new series. I want to do, I don't want to do what everybody else has done, how to make a prison shank, or how to do a backflip into a burpee, or those kind of things. I'd rather prefer to do some kind of a podcast-like series where I can take one subject at a time. And of course, it'll have something to do with prisons and jails, and it'll just be a topic that I'll take and just kind of open it up for discussion, ask questions, give feedback, get everybody a little more involved. But I see that there's also just this kind of I don't want to call it a prurient interest, but I think it's natural in people to just want to see or hear things that are like, I don't know, shocking or, different in, a violent or criminal type way. And it's just not where my head is at. My head is not into the whole crime scene or category, trying to keep my head out of that. And, it's not that hard. It isn't that hard, for me anyway. I've either aged out of it or trained myself out of it or both. I mean, it's just something that I'm really not even interested in anymore. But I am interested in people. I am interested in trying to help people to possibly, become better versions of themselves. I am interested in helping to provide some kind of a platform for people that, if they feel they need something more, and most of us do feel we need something more. We're not really satisfied with where we're at, what we're doing, or who we are, rather, at present. So, it's really a matter of growth and development. And growth to me is just learning. It's just learning new things about myself, and learning new things about the people who are around me, and learning new things about human life generally, and then, trying to make it somewhat smooth. Yeah, Dom, exactly. Yep, just trying to build out a little bit of a platform for anyone, really, for anyone who just wants to do something different, and is on this same kind of a track as we're on. Like, okay, yeah, you did this, you went to jail, you went to prison, whatever. We want to talk about issues that affect people generally, but this is about criminal justice reform. It's about it's about positivity. It's about building something good out of something that has the potential to be built into something good. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just in a rough state right now, and it needs to be cut and polished, or like a diamond in the rough, right? Just things that I've learned along the way with all of the studies that I've done, all of the practice that I've done. I don't like to hold myself up as being an example of anything, because I just don't think I am. I think that, if anything, I'm just an example of someone who keeps trying, who just keeps pushing forward. And, you got to try things. You got to try stuff. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you notice the effect right away, and it's a good effect. Sometimes you don't notice it right away. But a lot of it is just knowing or understanding certain things about yourself, so that you can, you have to know things about yourself. You have to know things about human nature generally, and then you have to know things about the environment in which you find yourself. So I think that's true for anybody anywhere. You go into a prison situation, well, there's a completely different environment, right? 1 minute you're free, you're out running around, driving cars around, sleeping at your own place, going to McDonald's, having some fun. The next minute, boom, you're wearing handcuffs and walking up some stairs or a ramp, being put in a holding cell with 20-something other guys. It's a big change of events right there. And these fellas that are going to prison, I've known a lot of guys that they took a chance and got caught. That's what it was. I mean, should they have done it? No, of course not. In hindsight, they'll tell you the same thing. But they took a chance. Most of it was drug dealing and stuff. Some of it was robberies and things like that. But, they took a chance and they got caught. And they ended up spending a part of their life behind bars, locked away in confinement. And some of those guys, I've known guys that started out, they really didn't have much of anything as far as criminal activity or criminal history. And then they got to the prison, and little by little, they started to erode. They started to take on that prison mentality. They started to, group up with, guys who would come and try to recruit them and pull them into this kind of a set or that kind of a car or this kind of a gang or that kind of a gang. And I mean, maybe there's certain overall justifications that could be floated, like, yeah, we need to protect ourselves. We need to have, there's strength in numbers, and we need to be able to, stand up against these other gangs. So we create one of our own. But I don't really think that's a good, solid justification for joining a gang. You might, it's, I don't know. Maybe I'm talking outside of my own experience, but I didn't see, like, back in the day, people weren't being pressed for anything. I mean, if you owed money, yeah, you were going to be pressed. You could be beat up or stabbed or even killed. If you owed money, if there was some kind of a drug thing, some kind of a deal that went bad, you could certainly be stomped out or stabbed up or even killed behind something like that. But I didn't see, there wasn't a lot of gangs going around. Hey, Peterstown, I'm doing good so far. It's just a lot of miserable, cold rain and wind, but I mean, at least the roof doesn't leak, and got a relative amount of warmth, so not doing bad. How are you guys doing? How are you doing, Peterstown? How are you guys doing out there? Hanging in there? Doing your thing? Anybody making any progress? You feel like you're making progress? Feel like there's some kind of a meaning, a purpose, something that you're doing that benefits others, but benefits you as well by giving you a sense of satisfaction, or maybe not doing something. I know for me, not being a criminal, not having a criminal mindset, not looking for that angle or that easy way or that unlawful means of getting what I want or getting ahead, for me, I do take a great deal of pride in that. It does me a lot of good personally to realize, hey, I'm not that way anymore. I don't even think that way. Not only do I not commit crimes, but I don't even think about committing crimes. I really don't. It's just, look, you could ask my wife even. We go by a bank and I start trembling. I'm like down nuts, I'm shaking. I don't even want to go into a bank. I don't even want to go around a bank, period. I'm like, nah, I've had enough of that. Just my luck, I'd be carrying, I have some cash in my pocket or something, and maybe I'm wearing a pair of sunglasses and somebody comes running out of the bank and I'm just, sitting in the car outside or something. Yeah, it'd be just my luck, right? So, yeah, I don't even like getting close to those places. And, certainly don't. I've certainly changed, or I haven't changed it, but my perspective has changed. However it happened, and it's probably a lot of different input, a lot of different means of input, but my overall perspective, my outlook on life changed with the way I looked at myself. Once I saw that I had some areas that really needed to be brought up to speed, where I was deficient character-wise. I wasn't the man that I wanted to be. I wasn't the person that I wanted to be, and there were reasons for that, and I identified them. And once I identified them, it wasn't easy. It's never easy to say, I'm fucked up. I did, bad things. I committed crimes, and I lied, and I used people, and I manipulated, and all of that stuff was wrong. It didn't make me feel very good about myself, ever. Even at the best times, it didn't make me feel good. So, yeah, I'm just hoping that little by little, people will come around, because I keep seeing, all of these people who are putting up these social media videos of these killings, these shootings in the hood and here and there. I mean, they happen all over the place, not just in the cities. They happen in the suburbs, they happen in the country, they happen on the highway, they happen all over the place. And I'm like, wow, this is just, it's senseless. And I hate it that people are trapped like that. I hate it that people can't find a way to pull themselves together somehow. So, that was kind of me some years ago, where I thought I already knew everything. I thought, even though there were pieces missing, I certainly didn't want to admit it, and wouldn't admit it, and didn't admit it for a very long time, until I was absolutely forced to. And, it wasn't easy to admit it even then. And then admitting it is one thing, right? But doing something about it is something entirely different. Like, for example, I remember going to psychology staff at several of the penitentiaries I was in. I remember Leavenworth, I remember Terre Haute, I don't think Atlanta, but I remember going to psychology staff and saying, if somebody wanted to change themselves, if they wanted to change their lives, how would they do it? How would a person improve his or her personal character? How would they actually become a better human being, a better version of themselves? How would they get there? Where's the curriculum? Where is the program? And they would always say to me, there isn't one. There isn't one. They went with this theory by this guy called Professor Hare out of Ontario that says, well, if you commit criminal acts, you were born a criminal. But I was like, well, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. If you commit criminal acts, you were born a criminal? Does that mean that everyone's born a criminal then? Because how do you explain it? How do you explain the person that doesn't have any criminal history whatsoever, the doctor, the lawyer, whatever, that all of a sudden is out there murdering people? I mean, it just didn't make any sense to me at all. Because in effect, what they were saying is, okay, genetically, you're pre-programmed to engage in criminal activity, period. And there's nothing we can do to, help you get past that. Yeah. Yeah, Tom. Yeah. I mean, yeah. If you're from a certain place, certain area, if you're of a certain color, yeah, you're just automatically stamped with the criminal stamp. And you guys know as well as I do that once you're stamped with that stamp, it's not anything good. It's not anything fun because, now, and especially if you stamp yourself with it, I think that's worse than what anyone else could think or feel about you, is when you stamp yourself with that stamp of ex-con or criminal or what have you, then you just have to kind of, I guess, give into it. But I wasn't wanting to give into it. I didn't want to be that way. I didn't want to be that person. I knew I could be better than that. I knew that really I didn't want to risk or expose years and years of my life just over some bullshit. Just, something. These guys run around shooting at everybody and shooting everything up. They're risking the rest of their natural lives in a cage. For what? Because you live in a certain place and that's what's expected of you. Your ego is overdeveloped while your personal character is underdeveloped. Maybe you just don't understand yet. And it's a shame that so many people have to get to that place of being put in a cage before they even really begin to understand anything about themselves or their lives. And then, there's just a small percentage who actually come out of that actually coming out better than when they went in. Because the state or the government is going to spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a conviction. Because that's what they're after. They're after that label. They want to put that label on you. Convicted. They want to stamp that on you, brand that on you. That's what they're after, the conviction. They'll spend any amount of money to get it. They don't care. They'll break any number of laws themselves to get it. They'll jump over all kinds of rules, all kinds of case law. They don't care, really, as long as they get that conviction. And then toad medicine. Yeah, baby. Toad medicine. All right. Great deal, man. Thank you. Thank you, Toad Medicine. Appreciate you. Yeah, man. We're still doing it over here, Toad. Still doing it. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, I mean, Dom, you came out of it, for sure. I mean, it's guys like you. I mean, you're the real examples. I'm not an example of, anything more than maybe how to hold up under, I don't know, some kind of extreme conditions or situations, constituting torture, mental, and physical, I guess, to a certain degree. But I mean, to come out of an atmosphere where culturally or environmentally everything just demands that you fall into line. Everything demands that you step into those shoes and that you do this thing and that you just give yourself and your life over to this certain form of activity. Generally criminal activity. But for those people who come out of that, who navigate that environment and come out, and the fellas that I've known who have been able to do that, they almost always had somebody, usually their moms, but usually they had somebody, some significant figure in their life that who coached them and counseled them and helped them to navigate those twists and turns so that they didn't. And then, of course, as well as I do, many of them just got lucky, and in a sense lucky, because they didn't get taken way out there and taken way under where they couldn't come back, where they couldn't have a hope of making it through. Sparky too. All right, brother. Good to see you on board, man. Good to see you. Good to see all you guys. Good to hear from you. Yeah, we're just talking about, how difficult it is. I know Sparky too has done this too. Navigating your way when there's everything around you in your environment is just trying to force you to be a certain way, a way that in your own heart and mind you really don't want to be. You really don't want to be. Yeah, it's good to, I wish I could see you. I can certainly hear you, and there's Country on board. How's it going, Country? I just responded to your comment a little bit ago. But yeah, I mean, it's, I don't hold myself out to be any kind of, I'm no better, no worse than anybody else on the planet. I mean, it's just that time and turmoil and pressure and need kind of fermented inside my head. And at a certain point, I just said, yeah. Thank you, Fabian. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that very much. At a certain point, it all just came to a boil, and I said, man, I got to do something. I got to do something. And like I said, there's not a whole lot of programs or curriculums that a person can plug into in order, I mean, you would think that the whole concept of corrections is, okay, let's try to correct the thoughts and the emotions and the precursors of the mind, these formulations of behavior. Let's try to correct those formulations before they become this behavior that's really harmful to that individual. It's not only, it's not only harmful to, I mean, everybody loses when these really terrible criminal acts occur, when these acts of violence occur. Everybody loses. I mean, we know about the victims, but everybody loses. The everybody who's involved and people who aren't involved, family members, friends. Maybe you had people that were looking up to you a certain way. Maybe you had sons or daughters. Maybe you had brothers or sisters or very close friends that were like, wow, I just wish I could have spent more time with him or her. I mean, because a lot of females end up going to jail too now. And, I hear a lot all the time. Everybody does, right? We all see that there's a backlash against the abuse of authority by court officials, judges, clerks, lawyers, prosecutors, investigators, police officers. We know about all that. That's been happening for eons. The only reason why it seems like there's more now is because there's more video cameras. There's more, there's more ways to catch them in the act. Before, they just deny it and lie about everything. We all know about that. But I like to look at the other side of it too, at least as far as myself. I like to look at the other side of it. I like to say to myself, oh yeah, the smart recovery. Yeah. Well, country, I say to myself all the time, I say, it comes down to me, really. It comes down to these choices and what I call micro choices. It comes down to an awareness of where I'm at in my mental processes, my thoughts and feelings at any one given time, because I've noticed that if I start to feel a certain way, let's say I just start to feel, for any reason, I'm in a funky mood, I feel like I'm disrespected, or something happens that I feel like is bad or bad news or whatever. And, mentally, we all react to that stuff, right? But I've started to learn that I can just, if I realize that, if I'm aware enough about that and about that feeling, I can make a decision, what I call a micro decision, to not feel that way. There's many times when I said, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to feel this way, period. I'm just not going to do it. And I don't know. For me, it works. It's almost like magic, because the minute I do that and say that, that feeling, it'll go away. Like, okay, it was just an impulse. It was just something in me based on, my being a human being and my emotions and everything else that, Don Jovi, I love that, Don Jovi. That should be a character in a organized crime film or something, right? Don Jovi. Like, yeah, organized band members, right? Like this band that's actually organized crime. See, I just gave you a good idea for a screenplay. But, yeah, no, I study myself and I look at myself, and I think a lot of it comes down to personal responsibility. If if I was going to, hit on the other side of this, I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with the criminal justice system. We all know that. There's a lot of things wrong. There's no correction in the correctional systems. There's virtually nothing. Some states are going more that way, but I don't think they really know how to do it. I don't think they know what they're doing, but they're trying. And so that's great. But it all comes down to the individual. If a person is just hardened in their mindset, if they just got it already so deep in their psyche that they want to project a gangster image, or they want to be a criminal. Or I've had guys tell me that I had a guy named Henry, not my Henry here, but a guy back in the day. I remember him sitting in my pickup truck, and we were on a job site. I did construction way back when. And he said, man, I was asking him, because he's on parole and stuff, and he was committing crimes. And he said, man, it's in my blood. It's in my blood. I can't control it. It's just in me. And I've thought a lot about that since those days, since that time when he said that. And honestly, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. With a psychopath, you've got a couple other dynamics that are working in the mind, the psyche of that person, that very well may be out of that person's individual control. But anything short of that, I think it comes down to choices. And I think it comes down to micro choices. And I think those micro choices represent choices about the way we want to feel. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. You've told me many times, country, and I appreciate it. Many times you said that I'm strong, that mentally, and I don't want to sound like, I'm trying to toot my own horn, but I think there's a certain part of me that is strong mentally, as far as being able to navigate the trials and tribulations. I mean, I was subjected to actual physical torture. I talk about this, in the Chronicles. I'll be talking about it, but I talk about it a little bit from time to time, and toot away. But I was subjected to actual physical torture. They had me strapped down in a high stress position on bare concrete, on just a concrete slab that stood up about 3.5 feet off the floor in the middle of this cell at the ADX. And it was Easter weekend of 2005. And I had kind of went off because I think it was Thursday afternoon. Thank you, Sparky. But I just, I want to illustrate a little bit because, there's a certain point that anyone can break down. And Easter weekend of 2005 was the point that I realized that point, because I think it started on a Thursday evening when I was out at rec. They went to take me back to my cell, but instead of going up the stairs to go back to my cell on the range where I was, they said, no, you're going down here to B range. I was on C range. They were taking me to B range, and they were taking me to the lower range of B. So what they had done is, when I was out at rec, they had went and packed up all my stuff and just moved me to this other range. And, I think that it was because they saw that I was, getting along with people. I was able to, get coffee and trade stamps and have this little bit of conversation going on. And, there was this board game we invented that we were playing, and we were just trying to make do with our time. And I think they wanted to break that up. So I went, those chairs are, I'll tell you what I do with those chairs, country. I'll tell you in a minute what I do with those chairs. But yeah, so they, this leads to this thing, right? They put me in this cell, and all my stuff's just on the floor. It's just in a pile on the floor. Coffee bag is open, the coffee spill everywhere. It's, and you guys know how important coffee is sometimes. To me, it was like how I did my bit, basically, those last few years in ADX. You didn't have anything else to do but drink a cup of coffee. So I was pissed. And I broke out the back window, and I started throwing everything out the back window, and they came and they told me to cuff up. I refused. They came back a little while later. They had the SORT team. They demanded that I cuff up again, turn around and cuff up, and I refused again. I jumped in the shower, pulled my mattress up in front of me, and, they stepped to the sally port and started unloading with the pop, 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 the gun that shoots those little balls. Those, I don't know, they're probably 45 caliber ball or something about that big, and maybe 50 caliber ball, and then they explode. They were shooting them against the wall. They were trying to ricochet them in on me, but they hit the wall and they explode in this, this powdered CS gas or whatever it is comes out of them. And they just, and then they came running in and gaffled me up. They had a hard time getting me out of the shower. But that chair, but they ended up taking me down to the cell, and they strapped me down. They chained me down. They didn't strap me down. They chained me down. The lieutenant, it was Easter weekend, so nobody was there except this lieutenant. His name was Clark. And he ordered them to chain me down, and he sent the guys around to all the other control bubbles throughout the ADX and got all of their extra chains. So it wasn't like a regular 4-point with just handcuffs and shackles being chained down. They had chains across my back. I mean, I felt like I was in Gulliver's Travels. They had chains crisscrossing my back. They had chains up here on my arms. You know, they had me cuffed with leg chains up here and chained down. And they had everything so I couldn't move even an inch. And they kept me like that. I could hardly breathe. And they kept me like that for 7 days. 7 days. No food. Very little water. The only water that I remember getting was a couple of sips, like on the, must have been the 5th or 6th day. But I started hallucinating. This is when all that other stuff happened where, you know, that PA did his dirty shit. Yeah, just, but I got to the point there where I was just really, the pain was just so bad. I mean, it separated my shoulders, both of them, separated my right way more than my left. It actually ripped the muscles away from my breastbone. It ripped these pec muscles, a couple of them, right off the breastbone because it was just this position that they had me in. And then they were laughing, and you know, I could always hear them behind me out in the hall, and I was naked too. Had to shit, piss on myself, all that. So it wasn't a lot of fun. But I realized right there that, you know, that no matter how tough you are, I think there's a breaking point, and that was my breaking point. I mean, I really broke down right there. I mean, started to hallucinate. I mean, if I'd have had a 45 or any kind of a handgun or whatever, I wouldn't have hesitated right at that point to just put it up to my head and pull the trigger. That's how desperate and despondent I was at that time. But yeah, country, those chairs, you know as well as I do, they're no fun. They put me in those chairs several times, and what I would do is I would tip them over. I'd tip them over backwards because you know how you're strapped in. What I would do is this. Well, the first couple of times, they would have my legs, you know, they'd have it shackled and then they'd have it strapped down. And if they didn't strap it down really tight, I'd start working my legs and working it back and forth against the edge of the metal where my feet were, so that eventually I would cut right through that strap. It's just nylon, you know, it's a pretty tough strap, but you can get through it eventually. They just leave me in a room or something like that. And so a couple times I just got my feet moving a little bit each way, this way and that way, and was able, and then I could use my feet to get up against the wall, you know, to tiptoe like to the wall, and then put my feet up against the wall and push myself over backwards. Once I got over backwards, I could shimmy out of the chair. I get out of it. And so, you know, a couple times I'd be walking around in there. Of course, you know, they always had the cameras on and stuff like that, but I guess they probably just wanted to watch and see. They're probably using some of those videos for training films now or whatever, but yeah, I mean, I took them to the paces, but it wasn't, you know, it was more about frustration, I think, than anything else. It was just like, you know, enough's enough. I mean, give me an opportunity. Give me a chance to redeem myself. Not the way you think I should redeem myself, but the way I need to redeem myself as a man, as a human being, as a person who has a right to exist on the face of this earth the same way you folks do. So, you know, it went from one thing to another, but I've been there. I've been all the way. I've been right there, face to face, in those situations where, you know, it's do or die. I've been there. But all I'm saying is that anyone who just wants to get ahead, who wants to build up a true system of wealth, is going to concentrate on themselves. See you later, country. Thanks for coming, man. I appreciate you. God bless you, man. Appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, I think anybody that wants to, that has any kind of desire to become a better version, to bring out those unrefined capabilities by refining them. Yeah, there's all kinds of things that you're capable of, all kinds of good things. I mean, things that'll really benefit you as a man, as a human being, as a person, as a person of worth. Because what it all comes down to me is how we feel about ourselves. If we don't feel good about ourselves, there's something in us that knows how we should be as opposed to how we are. And that's the little lever that says, okay, you feel good about yourself or you don't, or not so much. And I know that there's ways to improve the way we feel about ourselves and the way we live our lives. Number 27. Hello, my friend. Thank you very much. I appreciate your comment. I appreciate you very much. But I'm hoping that everybody will just try to think a little bit about your own heart and mind, the workings of your own heart and mind. And, you know, if you get aggravated, if you get angry, just try a little technique. Just try to catch yourself in the moment from an objective perspective. Like, okay, I see you. I see what I'm doing here. I don't want to do this. I'm not going to do this. And see if it works for you. See if it turns that entire feeling away, because it works for me. It just, if I can catch myself and I can get beyond my feelings, then I can make a decision about my feelings and about how I want to feel. And, you know, most importantly, how I don't want to feel. And like I say, I've gotten to the point more than once where I've said, okay, I don't want to feel this way. And guess what? I'm not going to feel this way. No, no, no. And it's like a miracle or something, that those feelings or that feeling will just dissipate. It'll evaporate. It'll go away. And so I think, you know, I think a lot of it is like ingrained or habitual feelings or thoughts that lead to feelings. And, you know, it all just comes down to perspective. And perspective is just the way we look at ourselves or feel about ourselves in our lives, right? And the people around us. But I think we've all got something that we can bring to this equation, this place on earth where we find ourselves. And, you know, there's places on this earth, and I've known people from these places, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, Egypt, certain parts of Africa. Things aren't very nice there. I mean, you know, you want to talk about human beings who have it really rough and, you know, virtually no chance to live like we live over here. Yeah, but I mean, even then, you see people who can tap into this alternative form of wealth. They might not have a lot materially, they might not have a lot of material wealth, money wealth, but they have this presence, they have this spirit of integrity, this, you know, they give off this vibe of being a worthy human being, a human being of value, of worth. And each one of you has a tremendous amount of worth. inside of you. Something that makes me smile is my little puppy, Emma, Princess Emma. You know, when she's just like, she's a funny dog. She's just, some of the things that she does, like facial expressions and the way she'll hold her head, and you know, the way that she constantly manipulates me or punks me to rub her head and rub her belly, and the way she gets me to play with her. You know, she just really demonstrates a lot of perseverance and patience, and she's just a comical little thing, but she's really smart. And yeah, Sparky too, no doubt. She's cool. She's great. For you guys that didn't hear, though, I'm coming up with, I got a new series that I'm going to do on the time tracker on this channel right here. And it is going to be like criminal justice reform based, prison jail stuff. But, you know, I want to talk about real issues. I want to talk about these subjects and bring them up and be able to hash them over a little bit. So I'm going to do a lot more live streaming on this new series, and I'm going to touch on a lot of different subjects and try to get as much input as I can, so that maybe together we can all come up with, you know, at least some kind of a beneficial outcome on some of this stuff, at least to where we feel that we've talked about something that is of interest or concern to us, and that we made some kind of progress doing all that. So I'm going to say so long, fellas, for now, because we're a little bit over an hour now. And I see you. I know you guys got to go. Please tune in again. We'll keep giving you the notifications. If you're not getting them, go to your notifications, settings, and turn that on. I think it's basically up to you guys. Toad Medicine, love you, brother. Love you. Great love to you, Sparky, too. All you guys, Country, Henry, Peterstown, all you guys. Love you guys, and I wish you the very best. I hope you have a pleasant week, and I want to see you guys. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of hours. There's a lot more coming. We got a lot of new ones going up all the time. So thank you, Dom. Appreciate you, man. You were here the whole time. Appreciate you, brother. Come back again, please. I'm going to be counting on you. Good night to Sparky, too. Be cool out there. Be cautious. Watch out for yourselves and your loved ones. Much love to all you guys. Appreciate you guys. And I'll see you back here soon. We're going to get this kicked off pretty soon. I'll let everybody know. All right.